Okay, some really big news coming out of Scottish football in the last few hours is that Steve Clarke has been named as the new Scotland manager on a 3-year deal. He replaces Alex McLeish, who stood down after the 2-0 win over San Marino. That was an embarrassingly poor result, to be fair, and the 3-0 loss to Kazakhstan. Steve Clarke has done amazing things in management. Ask Kilmarnock fans. It's the highest points total in the Scottish Premiership's history. They've got European football next season. Admittedly, it's Europa League qualification stages, but guess what? They're going to be playing ties in Europe next season. They led the SPL. I still call it the SPL for a couple of weeks this season. They were in the hunt until 3/4 of the way through the season. Then they sort of ran out of steam. But you've got to look at what Steve Clarke did with that group of players. He had limited resources, a limited budget, and look where he took that team. He worked wonders with that squad. He improved every single one of those players. And the fact that they leapfrogged Aberdeen, who were second last season, pushed Rangers pretty close as well, and led the SPL for a couple of weeks, says enough about the man and the job that he did at Kilmarnock. You also have to look back in history a little bit, but what he did at West Brom as well. He guided them to their highest ever points total. And to be fair, West Brom, those seasons he were there, they were pretty decent side. They were a quality side, and it was a shame that they couldn't quite take that next step onto the edge of the European places, and that he moved on. But he did great things with West Brom. He's done great things with Kilmarnock. The Scotland job is going to be different. International management is different from club management. You're not around the players, 9 months of the year. You only have limited spells with the players at the various international breaks. And Scotland haven't qualified for a tournament for over 20 years for a reason. There are structural issues with Scottish football. There's also a quality issue with Scottish football, international level. Short story is, they're not good enough. Steve Clarke, I think, is the right man to put in place over this next 3-year period. That's qualification for the Euros and the next World Cup. I do honestly believe he's the right man for this job, because you've got to look at the fact how he improved the Kilmarnock players and what he did at West Brom as well. He made players better. His tactics paid off, and the players got better. And they wanted to really fight for that, third place. And the fact that they were leading the SPL at one point says a lot. The fact they actually got to the top of the table for a brief period and really, were making Celtic and Rangers and Hearts and Aberdeen really have to fight for those top positions. They were in a fight. And, had Scotland not come calling, I honestly believe he would have stayed at Kilmarnock, and he would have, wanted to go from third to second or first. I think he would have really wanted to push that side, up the table. And 3 years down the line, Kilmarnock might go, do you want to come back and finish what you started? I wouldn't be surprised if he actually did go back to Kilmarnock, because the fans love him. The players clearly wanted to play for him. He obviously created a positive culture around that Kilmarnock side. Can he create that positive culture around the Scotland side? Because at the moment, the morale is low. And the quality level is not good enough. A 3-0 defeat to Kazakhstan and a struggled, laboured 2-0 win over San Marino. Things have to change, and quickly with the Scotland national setup. And I do think Steve Clarke is the right guy to do it. I don't think he's the type of guy who'll tolerate players not putting their weight. You've got to put a shift in to be a Steve Clarke player. To be in his team, you have to put a shift in. I think he's going to shake up the selection. I think he's going to, pick out some players who don't play for Rangers and Celtic. I think he's going to look at some players who play for some other clubs that aren't Rangers or Celtic. Some of those Rangers and Celtic players might have to look over their shoulders and go, are we going to get picked? I think he is going to mix it up a little bit. I think he's going to inject some new younger players that he might have coached at Kilmarnock or seen play against Kilmarnock and give them a run in the side, because there's been too much of the same group of players being selected and underperforming. I think he's going to mix it up. He's going to demand that players that are veteran players still put 110% in. Otherwise, they are going to get dropped. I don't think he's going to be scared of dropping players. Something has to change. And I think Steve Clarke, he's energetic. He's very thoughtful. He's spent time at Chelsea as an assistant. He's done great things at West Brom, and now recently at Kilmarnock. He's got them European qualification for Europa League qualification stages, and they finished third and a record points all. So he's proved that he can make a side go from mid-table averageness to, challenging at the top. And Kilmarnock this season actually were a breath of fresh air for Scottish football, being at the top of the table for a couple of weeks. It was an actual breath of fresh air. They had not been there for 20 years. And I think that gave the impetus for Celtic to go, actually, we're not coasting for this title. We've got to fight for it. I think that kind of mentality, that fight, that development mentality as well, I think he'll be a good fit. It's going to be a tough slog, but it's going to be interesting to watch the next 3 years. And, if Scotland can get out of that qualifying group, go from 5th to one of the qualifying places for the next Euros, I think he's done a good job. They have to qualify for a tournament. Is he the right man to do it? Time will tell, but I think it's going to be a tough slog, but I think he's the right person in charge to develop these players and improve these players and actually get Scotland better. Because there's a reason why they've not had tournament football for over 20 years. But there we go. I'm going to leave that there. Thank you very much for watching. If you are a Scotland fan, what do you think of the Steve Clarke appointment? And if you're a Kilmarnock fan, who replaces Steve Clarke? Because that's a big manager to lose for them. That's a big loss for Kilmarnock. But whoever comes into Kilmarnock, he's left that club in a very strong position, good building blocks, the right kind of club culture. But there we go. Thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe. Place your thoughts below, and I will have some more videos for you very, very soon.